Our Switchheads, and welcome to my unscripted review of GemaBoy Zero Origins. A really, at times, hard-ass platformer that really makes you work for your goals. And with that, let us dive right in. Engage. Story. It's actually told in a kind of comic book style, as you can see, and I really do actually like this style. It's not really commonly used these days, and it's a shame because, well, to me, it's a really good style. Okay, so I'm not 100% sure on the whole of this story, but it's got something to do with you upgrading to something, something's ended somewhere, and basically you lost your memories or something in the transaction of something. It also really occurs to me that I should have called it GemaBoy Zero Origin, so I do apologize for that. Controls. Hello, it's me again, and the controls couldn't be simpler, if not rather irritating sometimes. So you got your moving directions, you got your run, you can jump, and you can climb. Simples. Then you got your these aren't enemies. This is the like vault for all games old sort of thing, a library if you like. Is that my daughter? Anywho, so then you've got, as well as all that, you've got these special weapons which add to the joy every time you kill a boss, and you can get different ones. Whoops, there we go. Yay! And that's activated by just going into the menu and then pressing the X button. Enjoy. And maybe just before we press on here, why don't you subscribe to the channel? Especially if you're enjoying my content or you've been watching it for many days, weeks, months, years. It would really be a great thing and I would really appreciate it. Gameplay. Okay, so the game actually has different modes. One of the modes is like a museum that you can walk around and you can collect them when you're actually in game, these artifacts, and basically play these little mini games, which is pretty darn cool. And then you've got your basic music and a gallery, and that's kind of self-explanatory, so I'm not going to treat you all like fools, and I'm not going to really go into that one. Story mode is probably where it's at though, and this is basically a set of levels that have to be completed to actually take on the end of middle level, if you like. All with end bosses, some tough as nails and some that's actually a little bit easier. Bosses drop upgrade type things, including, well, basically their weapons if you like, and you can change these in a menu and also power them up with pickups that you pick up in the levels. Basically it's the ammo that you're going to need to actually, use these weapons. I did find that hitting enemies, you sometimes take damage, although it should not have happened, if that makes sense. You should have been able to hit it, but because the swipe, of your sword thingy is so small, you can't help but to be hit by it, even sometimes when you're behind them. Bosses are, well, your usual simple figure 8 patterns and kill them. Each boss, as I said, gives you this power up, and I don't know, it felt a little bit unfair now and again because, well, most of them you have to dive onto a wall and then back onto them, so you're constantly taking damage through no fault of your own, if that makes sense. The actual jumping itself, again, it's a bit of a pain in the arse, mainly due to the fact that when you're actually playing and you have to jump onto like precision obstacles or platforms, it's just not there, it's just not got that accuracy, and it just comes with a lot of frustration at times. It was almost like a strange feeling of enjoying it lots and also kind of not enjoying certain bits as well. It just felt so right in places and kind of like just way too difficult in others, or at least for me. And I think when I come to the score, I think everyone needs to remember that there's going to be people that love this genre, love this type of game, that really enjoy this. And then there's people like me that can almost take it or leave it. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, yeah, it's pretty good, but also it's too hard. It's got too many, old school problems to it. Visuals and sound. I'm talking about old school. It is one of those basic kind of, well, old school games, but then this sort of game, you would think of that sort of thing, you know, the old NES and things like that. It is a old looking game. The music repeats, which is rather annoying, I have to say, but all in all, it gives that impression of old schooly, you know, type feel to it, which is, I guess, what people that are into these games actually want. The good. It kind of does what you expect it to do. It is what I would have thought going into this sort of game, how it's been introduced and everything would be like. It's got nice comic strip type cutscene type things. I could enjoy that. And all in all, I like the fact that you power up and get new weapons and all from defeating the enemies, as in the bosses. The bad. It's too hard in places, too frustrating in others, especially for simple things like jumping onto a ledge. You can lose half your life if you're on the platform with some of those spikes trying to jump onto something. And yeah, it just gives it a grueling having to go back to a checkpoint point, go back to the actual place, do it again, do it again, do it again. And also the bosses, once you reach it, now some people are going to say this is a good or bad thing. You know, you start, if you die at a boss, you start at the boss. Now I'm not quite sure whether that's a good or bad thing, but it's a thing. The score. Okay, so scoring this game is going to be like this. I think personally it's a solid game, if not too solid in places. It's got its definite ups and downs, and it's probably not aimed at people like me. Now, to that fact, I would give it probably a 3 out of 5. It's a good game. I think it's worth the money. You get other little things like mini games and all, and yeah, it's difficult to complete, so you won't be doing it like in 10 seconds or whatever. Alternatively, the fact that I think this is made by or for a different group of people, and those people will probably like this a hell of a lot more. I think they'll probably give it a 4 out of 5, but I'm not scoring what everyone else is going to give it, so for me it's going to be a 3 out of 5. And so I think we're going to march over to that alternative again. But before we actually do that, why not hit that like and subscribe button? You know, you'll be doing me a favour, you'll be subscribing to the channel, which means that you'll be picking up great, in the future, better videos than this. But as I said at the beginning, I've been rushed, I've had a lot to do. But if people are going to say, well, you shouldn't have done them, it's kind of a therapy to me, that's why I started it. And it helps me, you know, get away from the life around me when I've got a little bit of spare time. So that's why I've continued, and that's why I'm going to continue. More of a mental health type thing, shall we say. And yes, I do have OCD. Okay, so that alternative is going to be Super Cyborg. And I reviewed it on the channel. I didn't think it was too bad of a game. It's very retro-y, side-scrollery, and you get to fire a load of weapons. But as usual, if you've got a better alternative, please do leave it down in the comments, along with any thoughts you have on GemaBoy Zero Origins. And I'll also obviously try to reply to as many as I can. And well, basically that's your lot. Thank you for watching, thank you for listening. Hope you will come back. Come join us in our community Discord for, well, more chat and, you know, just general conversation of interesting things we all like. Because life is better when we switch together.